Is there any chance? Hello. All right. There we go. Hello. And welcome to the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. I'm sorry for that. For some reason, whenever I start to live stream, my mic does not want to work initially, and I have to move to my laptop microphone, which is nowhere near as good as the microphone I have externally, but whatever. We just have to roll with the punches. Today, we're talking 2017 NBA draft. I'm going to have Slump on here joining me in a moment. But before I talk NBA draft, before I talk sleepers and busts and some predictions and whatnot, we have to get into the D'Angelo Russell trade that just went down. The Lakers trading D'Angelo Russell to the Brooklyn Nets. They trade Russell and Timofey Mozgov and his terrible contract to the Brooklyn Nets for center Brook Lopez and the 27th pick in the NBA draft. And as I talked about in my video, just in case you haven't watched it yet, I love this deal for the Nets as they finally have a nice young piece to build around and now have Russell and Karis LeVert, whom they drafted last year and averaged about 8 points a game in limited minutes. This year he'll play more, he'll probably average more, although they're going to have to figure out that backcourt because now they have Russell, Jeremy Lin still in the contract, I believe, and now Karis LeVert. But I like that, hey, they're building something because they needed a nice piece, and they're still going to stink. They're going to stink next year, and then hopefully they stink the year after that, okay? Because I'm already looking at that 2019 NBA draft class, and I'm saying that's the draft class you really want to tank for. So if I'm the Nets, hey, we got to stink for 2 years. Let's just stink. Let's have D'Angelo Russell average 20-plus points per game, be an absolute star for us, and then we can pair him with somebody 2 years down the road. I know they're already considering signing guys like Danilo Gallinari in free agency. If I'm them, screw that. I'm not trying to win 30 games. For what? Let's absolutely tank. Let's trust the process, and let's just be patient because we're not going to be anywhere near good until like 2020. Okay, so let's just embrace that. If you sign guys like Danilo Gallinari for huge deals, you'll win 30 games. But for what? Okay, it's just completely worthless to me. All right, so now I have Slump joining me. What's going on, Slump? Or maybe not.
No, I'm here. My bad.
Okay, there he is. Yeah, Slump joining me. What's going on, Slump?
What's good? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. What are your thoughts on the D'Angelo Russell trade? What are your thoughts on both teams?
Looking at it right now, it seems like a fair trade, but in the future, we might see that the Nets got the better of this deal because if this super team does not pan out, the Lakers are really just giving up a key piece in their future for nothing. So right now, I'm just
Yep. Go ahead.
Like my brother is a Brooklyn Nets fan. He's hyped right now, and a lot of my Laker friends are just heated. Like they're pissed beyond belief. They want this man Magic already out of office, which I don't understand. Like give this man at least 2 seasons to prove whether he can build this team or not.
Yeah, I mean, obviously what they're doing is they're trying to quicken this rebuild, right? They're not trying to sit back and wait for D'Angelo Russell and Brandon Ingram and Julius Randle to all develop together. They're trying to quicken this. They're trying to get back to the top of the Western Conference. And it's a risky move, but it could end up really working well. But, I mean, it's going to be tight. I feel pretty confident in them getting Paul George. In fact, I think that deal may go down tomorrow. I'm thinking this deal is going to go down before the NBA draft. I think this deal is going to go down, especially now that the Lakers have 3 first-round picks, the 2nd pick, the 27th pick, the 28th pick. They still have Jordan Clarkson. They still have Julius Randle. I think that deal is going down. But even if it doesn't, then they're looking at the 2018 free agency class, and they're saying, we want to get LeBron. We want to get Paul George. If we can't get them, let's go after maybe Russell Westbrook, maybe DeMarcus Cousins, and seeing how that works out. But they've tried this before. Okay, they shelved out a bunch of cap space a couple years ago, hoping to get Melo or LaMarcus Aldridge, and neither came. So that's the risk. You could literally go down a terrible path once again and end up getting completely and totally and absolutely screwed, and then sign the next Luol Deng and Timofey Mozgov. So be careful, but I understand it. I don't have a big problem with it.
And the reason why I kind of understand what Magic was trying to do is you can't have two defensive liabilities at the guard spot. I know that you wanted this pairing of Zoe and D'Angelo, but I was for what's called D'Angelo Russell and Josh Jackson way before. Like, I thought that duo was going to work, and I thought LeBron James and Paul George were going to come in and dominate right away. But right now, we're looking at two playmakers potentially, Paul George and Brandon Ingram. And as you stated many times, and I completely agree with this, you need these lengthy players to go up against the Golden State Warriors, because if you can't contest these shots, you're ultimately just going to fail.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, man, to me, it was set up nicely. Although they didn't go for this, and they would have taken Josh Jackson, end up getting a Paul George, had still have Brandon Ingram. You have Ingram who can guard Kevin Durant. Ingram's not a great defender, but if anyone can guard the lengthy, ridiculously lengthy 6'10" Kevin Durant, it's a ridiculously lengthy 6'9" Brandon Ingram. Okay, if there's anyone that can guard Klay Thompson, it'd be Josh Jackson. If there's anyone that can guard Draymond Green, it could be Paul George. And then boom, boom, boom. I need to have someone that's guarding Stephen Curry well. But then I like those matchups right there that I was talking about. But now they're going to take Lonzo Ball, and we'll see how that works out for them. We'll see. But if they get Lonzo, and they will, Lonzo, let's assume they get Paul George and then maybe even LeBron. I still think that team could beat the Warriors, but I'm not so convinced. I think it'd still be a bit of a liability defensively. LeBron is getting worse defensively as he gets older, people. That's just a damn fact. Okay, so I still see issues for this team defensively moving forward. Paul George will do well. Lonzo will do all right. He's lengthy. He's 6'6". At the point guard position, that's very good. He'll be able to defend Stephen Curry to a certain extent, but not really keep up with him when he's moving off the ball, off of screens and whatnot. But we'll see how this Lakers team develops in the future.
Yeah, I agree, man. I actually love this Lonzo Ball pick now, because you're actually going to have somebody to develop Brandon Ingram, someone who can get this man Brandon Ingram some touches. But in terms of Brandon Ingram's defense, I think he'll just get better over time. And I think the bringing in LeBron James and Paul George, if that is the case, I mean, he has a potential. Why wouldn't he be able to lock down KD? Like, I truly think he will be solid.
Yeah, and the thing is for Lonzo Ball, again, I like Lonzo Ball because I prefer Josh Jackson. Some people think I don't like Lonzo. No, I really like Lonzo. I just feel that, man, his scoring upside is really limited. 16 points per game per 40 minutes. He's never going to be a big-time scorer, and I feel like that needs to be the case if you really want to win. Warriors have 3 players that can average 20 points per game any given season. Lonzo Ball will never average 20 in any season. His rookie year, people are really looking forward to this Lonzo Ball rookie year. He's going to look like Rondo. He's going to average 11 and 8.
Yeah, I think he's going to average around 13.
For that, okay, you can be excited for that, but that's not going to be great. It's going to be 11 and 8. It's going to be Ricky Rubio-esque. Then from there, hopefully he can develop more. But I see him capping out at 16, maybe 17 and 10. And that's nice. It's nice. It ain't LeBron. It ain't Kawhi. It ain't Kobe. It ain't D-Wade. It ain't that echelon.
And that's why a ton of these people, these so-called analysts, are favoring De'Aaron Fox to the Lakers, because De'Aaron Fox has that killer mentality, that whatever you do, you're just going to score. Lonzo Ball does not have that mentality, and we'll always see him try to be like, even in college, he was kind of, trying to get the ball to someone else, like most of the time. With De'Aaron Fox, you see him just constantly driving in the ball. He's going to get his regardless, which is why a ton of people have him as their best prospect. But in terms of building a team, you need to have a player like Lonzo Ball who can get others moving, which is why I'm not against him. And this is why I have him like tied for 4th on my big board. He is a solid player, and he will be solid for his entire career. Same can't be said about a player like De'Aaron Fox, who's going to wow people his rookie year.
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox, to me, I liked him when I started the process, but, man, I'm getting really sour on Fox. I just can't find prospects that shot 24% from 3 or worse and ended up doing anything in the NBA. I can't find it. Tell me why, if you disagree. Why will De'Aaron Fox be better than Elfrid Payton? Because I'm not seeing why.
I mean, I like his attitude and his drive. I think he will be a player that averages 16 over his entire career, but he will not be a player that gets that like consistently and effectively. I see him shooting around total shooting percent, like his field goal percentage, being like a high 30, like 38% his rookie season. But he'll still average more points per game than Lonzo Ball. And when you bring up his shooting, I agree. This kid shot 5 for 12 at one workout. I believe it was the 76ers workout, and 6 for 15 at another workout. He is a player that is like he's flagged for his three-point shooting. And him coming into these workouts and failing miserably do not show us any signs of him improving his shot. He's just out here proclaiming that he is, but clearly he's not. And teams are starting to notice that. And I wouldn't be shocked to see him fall in the draft and ultimately end up with the Dallas Mavericks or the New York Knicks, in all honesty, if the Sacramento Kings are able to see past this.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We're talking about De'Aaron Fox and his bad three-point percentage. People are killing Josh Jackson. Oh, Josh Jackson can't shoot. Josh Jackson shot 38%. De'Aaron Fox shot 24%. I mean, Josh Jackson is a world above Josh Jackson. Josh Jackson is a world above De'Aaron Fox in terms of shooting the three ball. And we're killing Jackson and we're elevating Fox. Like I heard Colin Cowherd the other day saying, well, I think De'Aaron Fox is the most underrated prospect in this draft. First of all, can you just do yourself a favor and just watch prospects? Because he doesn't do it. If he actually gave a damn, maybe he'd watch Dennis Smith and he realized that, wait a minute, this guy's better than De'Aaron Fox. So I'll tell you right now, if Dennis Smith was on Kentucky, I think Kentucky could have won it all. I think Kentucky would have at least made the Final Four to me. And you would have been looking at Kentucky saying, damn, Kentucky. They had Dennis Smith, Malik Monk, and Reese Bam Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, let me talk about Colin Cowherd real quick. Okay, this guy loves all the prospects that come on his show. When Patrick Mahomes came on his show, this man, Colin Cowherd, fell in love with him. I don't know why this man, and you're right, he doesn't watch the tape. He even admitted online, like on his show. He said that he has scouts that tell him about these players. However, I am 100% sure this scout did not tell him that De'Aaron Fox was better than Markelle Fultz. I think he's just making that up. But in terms of Dennis Smith, I agree, man. If anybody even sits down and watches the tape, you will understand that Dennis Smith Jr. replicates a player like Russell Westbrook more than a player like De'Aaron Fox does. And these people are just making these comparisons because, as you said, you also made this point about Markelle Fultz. If you go to the school that makes a deep March Madness run, you will get all the love and all the praise, regardless of anything. And I've already said this countless times. De'Aaron Fox was not the best player on his team, and I think he'll ultimately be the third best player in this draft off Kentucky. I think Bam Adebayo has some what's called potential.
Wow.
And if a team actually gets him to reach his potential, I was hoping the Lakers were going to take him, but now that's not going to happen. We might see a team like the Phoenix Suns trade up to grab a true center and try to build him into that young core they currently have.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. But, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Fox. I think Smith is underrated. We agree on that. You don't like Frank Ntilikina, the point guard out of France. Tell me about Frank.
Okay, Frank Ntilikina has this thing called size. You already know this. He has like a 7'1" wingspan. He's European and he's French, okay? The teams that are already overhyping him are the Mavericks, who I believe will actually tank him or the Knicks. It depends on how the draft plays out. But if you sit down and watch, like, there's not much tape on him. I'm gonna put this out there. There's really not. Overseas, you play like I think 11. Like for example, Terrence Ferguson didn't get much playing time overseas, but he didn't impress anybody. Hence why he's fallen down. He was a 5-star athlete coming out of high school. Frank, to me, yes, he has a size. Yes, he has a potential, but he doesn't have the athleticism that can pull him over the top. Like, I'd even favor Ricky Rubio at this point over him because people, like, he finds the open man, but his movements are just too slow for me. I just can't mess with him.
Yeah, I do agree with that. He has very slow movements. He's really turnover prone. I do like his defensive upside, but I really just don't see him being more than a below average starter in the NBA. And I don't think he's going to start in the NBA past year 2 or year 3. I see too many similarities to maybe like an Emmanuel Mudiay a bit, but even beyond that, I mean, he's slower than Mudiay. Mudiay was faster, more athletic.
I like Mudiay for his athleticism. That's why I had him ranked high.
Yeah, it's tough right now with Ntilikina. He's probably going to go top 10. He's probably going to go to the Mavericks. He'll probably start for them for a couple years until they realize that, hey, this guy's not very good. and then they'll move on. But yeah, I'm not a big Ntilikina fan. I did at one point though. Actually, I wanted to mention about De'Aaron Fox versus Dennis Smith. I know you're a UW fan, and also this also ties into Markelle Fultz. If you're a top prospect, just save your time. Don't go to these bad teams because you're seeing how screwed over you end up getting. Because you just get trashed on. It goes, oh, yeah, you went to UW. Last year, Ben Simmons went to LSU. They still went #1 overall. But you're just getting trashed. And then this upcoming year, I'm already seeing Michael Porter is going to Missouri. And then he's not. Maybe Missouri could make the NCAA tournament.
I think they will. They got a ton of players this year.
Oh, they are? Okay, we'll see. Well, let's say that he doesn't. He's going to get trashed. Colin Sexton going to University of Alabama. Yeah. He's going to get trashed.
I'm happy with that, though. Hopefully,
yeah, I understand why he went there though. At least they still have Avery Johnson. I think they still do.
Yeah. I'm happy for him slipping because I want him to go to a team that is just close to make the playoffs. For example, like the Philadelphia 76ers, right? They have what's called a protected pick, which ranges from 2 to 5. Anything beyond that is theirs. I want to see him paired up with Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Darius Saric. I want to see that starting lineup because this team will not make the playoffs next year. We all know this. But I want to see the battle between the Timberwolves and the 76ers for years to come. I want to see a team with potential snag him. I do not want him to go to a team like the Celtics are giving their pick up to the Bulls most likely. But I want to see him on one of those teams to actually thrive. His defensive potential is nice. Like, this kid goes at his opponents.
Yeah, we'll see how he does next season. I'm intrigued by these recruits coming out of high school and seeing how they're going to do next season. So tell me some – you already made a video about this, but tell me some potential busts that you see in this 2017 NBA draft.
Okay, I didn't want to mention this one because I'd be killed, but De'Aaron Fox, obviously. De'Aaron Fox, like in this league, you have to be able to shoot, and you have to have at least a mid-range, okay? Like DeMar DeRozan, he may not be the greatest three-point shooter, but at least he's able to utilize the mid-range. De'Aaron Fox can't do that. His passing also he's just getting overhyped for his facilitation. Like he's like the fourth best facilitating point guard out of the top 4. I have Dennis Smith Jr., Markelle Fultz, and Lonzo obviously over him. Harry Giles, like I like him, okay? He is this big body dude that can be dominant in the paint. He's someone like I wouldn't compare him to a Rudy Gobert type, but he has the potential to become a nice shot blocker. He has the potential to actually be able to grab a ton of boards, but his knee gives me concerns. If a team is willing to draft a player that high and he ultimately blows out his knee, why would you want somebody to be the next Greg Oden?
Oh, that's very interesting. I go with Lauri Markkanen.
Oh, okay. I understand that. I understand that completely. Go ahead.
If you heard today, the damn Knicks are talking about trading Kristaps Porzingis, and one of the reasons why is that they like Lauri Markkanen. Look, I was not a big fan of Porzingis coming out. I had some European bias, but now I actually look at European prospects fairly. Before, I just felt that hey, just stay away from them. Jan Vesely and all those terrible busts in the past, just stay away. That was my thought process. But after Porzingis, I give them a chance. Lauri Markkanen, though, will not be Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, if he begs to God every night, he won't be Kristaps Porzingis. He will never be the defender that Porzingis is. Porzingis averaging over 1.5 blocks every single year, averaged 2 blocks this year, still improving, still getting better. Lauri Markkanen just cannot play defense. He cannot do it. And he's a guy that I look at and I say, yes, he's a stretch 4, but are we sure this guy's going to be on the court? Because he's such a liability defensively. If he's not great, if he's not Dirk, if he's not, Ryan Anderson even Ryan Anderson has to come off the bench. Lauri Markkanen will not have a role in the NBA because you have to play some semblance of defense even as a stretch 4, or you just won't start. You just won't play. Also, not a great rebounder for his length, for his height, not tough down low. I look at Lauri Markkanen. I don't love him. What do you think?
Okay, with Lauri Markkanen, I watched the Pac-12 tournament. This kid is good offensively. However, when he's in the paint, he gets bullied a lot. He's not aggressive, and that's why I love Zach Collins so much, okay? Zach Collins is the stretch 4. He has the potential to become great, but he's aggressive. I want my big men to be aggressive and come at you and get these blocks. Lauri Markkanen just doesn't have that. That's why I look at the Knicks actually trying to trade trade Kristaps for the third pick to pick up Josh Jackson. Like I view that as insane. Why would you want to drop a player who already has proven to you that he's great and just to get a foreign white dude who's a stretch four? That makes no sense. And I mean, yeah, I agree. I had this foreign bias before, but you see, I have some sleepers that are foreign, so I'm okay with that. But man, I don't like Lauri Markkanen defensively. But if you have a solid what's called a rim protector, I'm okay with it. And the Knicks currently don't possess one.
I also look at Donovan Mitchell out of Louisville, and I know why people like him, right? He has a long wingspan. He can finish at the rim pretty well, pretty explosive at the rim. But this guy had a 40.5% field goal percentage this past year in college. And I even saw a guy on Twitter say, hey, I draft Donovan Mitchell over Malik Monk. If you have a 40% field goal percentage in college, what the hell is that going to be in the NBA? Because you're going to have to raise that at least 0.3%. I'm not sure I'm going to get that, or 0.03%. I'm not sure I'm going to get that from Donovan Mitchell. I know he has long arms. He's pretty explosive at the rim, but he's an inconsistent shooter. He could be a complete flat-out bust. Like, you never even see this guy play. I mean, I think he could be kind of like a Sam Decker that came out a couple years ago to where, is he still in the league? I don't know. He just flamed out.
Okay, with Donovan Mitchell, I understand why he's been rising up draft boards. It's because he improved the production he had from his freshman year. Like, he added like 6 points per game to his resume, and like you said, he's explosive at the rim and he has a lane. I this is how I view the draft, all right, and how I view how drafts usually go. Number 1 to 10, you draft a starter, a for sure starter. From 10 to 19, you draft someone who can come in and be a solid role player. And beyond that, I don't even care about those guys. So you just draft for potential after that. And with Mitchell, I see him as a solid sixth man, so I don't write him off as a bust at all. I mean, yes, he won't be a Malik Monk player who comes in and you can already tell that he has some J.R. Smith to him. And actually, I think he's going to be better than J.R. Smith, but he has that streaky shooting. Like, he goes on. He goes off randomly. He's going to be a player that can come in and drop 40 points a game occasionally. You don't have that with Donovan Mitchell, which, I mean, some people are idiots on Twitter, so I don't view Twitter that much. I look more towards the comments in other draft prospects videos. Like, I want to see what people think about them that actually do. And most people have Donovan Mitchell from around the 15 ranked prospect to like the 25th. That's the range I've been viewing him. And as long as he doesn't go top 10, I won't consider him a bust.
I see some people in the comments talking about the Sixers right now, and some people think the Sixers are going to make the playoffs this upcoming year. Look, I like the Sixers core. And, I mean, why? How can you not? But here's the problem, Sixer fans. Y'all are a little delusional, and it makes sense, right? You've been at the bottom of the NBA for years. You've forgotten how this league really works. Young players don't win. That's just what happens, okay? The Minnesota Timberwolves, I know they're in the West. We're not in the West. The West is much harder. Don't worry, we're not going to be the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves had Karl-Anthony Towns, who was better than anyone on your roster. I think times 2. He's better than Joel Embiid to me times 2. Why? Because he plays double the amount Joel Embiid plays. Joel Embiid played 31 games this year. And think about this for a moment. He has played less in his first 3 years than Greg Oden played in his first 3 years. Why should we ever believe that Joel Embiid will be healthy? Why is that something we should believe? This year, when he was finally going to be healthy, this is it. He's finally going to play. Didn't even play half of the season. Played 38% of the season. I'm not really worried about Ben Simmons. He'll be fine. It was one little foot injury. That's fine. But why are we believing that Ben Simmons is going to be healthy ever? Look at the NFL. We have a guy in Kevin White who missed his first year, missed most of his second year, and we're talking about that guy being a bust. Okay? And yet with Joel Embiid, he's missed 2 complete and total years, and he's played half of another. And we're talking about the Sixers winning a championship in 7 years. Tell me, please, why this guy is not Greg Oden. Because right now, this guy has played less than Greg Oden played in his first 3 years. He's played less. The burden of proof is on Joel Embiid. He has to show me that he can be healthy because he has shown anything but for the past 3 years. And then Markelle Fultz, I like him a lot. He ain't going to know how to win year one. He ain't going to know that. Okay, if he was on the Celtics, maybe because he's surrounded by Isaiah Thomas, Al Horford, Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley, and a bunch of veterans. But year one, he ain't going to win. So the Sixers ain't making no playoffs next year. Okay, I don't know why Sixer fans don't even worry about making the playoffs next year. Why don't you just, let's win 30 games, go back to the lottery, see maybe we can win it, see whatever happens, let's get another draft pick in, and then maybe the year after that we can make the playoffs. But the playoffs are not in the Sixers' future next season.
Yeah, the only way I ever even saw the Sixers having a potential at the playoffs was if they overpaid for Andre Iguodala. Like, gave him a 2-year, $55 million contract, and that's not looking the case at all. But with Joel Embiid, I can't write him off just yet. I think he will be able to stay healthy for the second half of next season. I'd keep him out for the first half of this season because he had an ACL scare at the end of this season. So I'd actually just wait until like December, January before I give him some minutes, get him infused with Markelle Fultz and Ben Simmons. And yeah, Ben Simmons really does not have any injury concerns. And Markelle Fultz, yeah, he had a knee injury, a proclaimed knee injury, but I am 100% sure Lorenzo Romar just kept him out so he doesn't aggravate it and make it even worse for him come the draft. So, I mean, I'd wait next year, too. That's what I'm talking about. Get Colin Sexton in the 2018 NBA draft and just chill out for one more season and bring in some shooters after that.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see what happens when it comes to the Sixers. Any sleepers you see in this 2017 NBA draft?
Okay, number one, we got Caleb Swanigan. Okay, Caleb Swanigan is a dude from Purdue that averaged like 18.1 points per game and 12 rebounds per game. Now, the reason why people are like writing this kid off is because he's fat, okay? I'm going to just put it bluntly, he's overweight. And you don't want guys coming into the NBA out of shape because you don't think they'll be able to like play up to 30 minutes a game, go through all this. But you have a player that shows me on his tape that will grab all your rebounds, that will play whatever assigned role you give him, that can finish at the rim against bigger players. I like this kid a lot. And another dude is Tyler Dorsey, okay? Tyler Dorsey, in my opinion, is probably the fourth best shooter in this draft. A lot of people want to talk about Peter Jok, but Peter Jok shows no effort on defense. There's no way I'm going to waste a pick on someone who's just out here just pulling up threes. He's obviously going to be a bench player, except for Tyler Dorsey. Tyler Dorsey has the potential to become a starter, and I think he will be one in the up and coming years after like 2 seasons that he's in the NBA.
Yeah, personally, I look at a couple guys. I look at the guys in the middle range first. TJ Leaf, who I like. He was coming out of UCLA this year. Some people feel that Lonzo Ball really helped him this year, and he did to a certain extent. But this is a guy that has some nice athleticism to him. Wingspan isn't bad. Shot very well at UCLA. Shot a pretty high percentage. Has some three-point ability as well. Not great defensively, but I'll take him over Lauri Markkanen, honestly. I like TJ Lee's potential. I look at Harry Giles. Yes, he did not play great this year for Duke. Barely averaged any points, but his rebounding is still good. It was great out of high school, like 16.5 rebounds per 40 minutes. Went to college, about 13 rebounds per 40 minutes. Even if he has to play center, I have faith because he can come down with a good amount of rebounds. He can contest shots at the rim. He's fluid. He's mobile. He's fitting to me kind of that modern center, but he's going to have to step out and shoot a little better as time mows on. But right now, I like Harry Giles. I like TJ Leaf. As we get lower and lower, I like Derek White out of Colorado. Has a quick release, a nice release, really improved his production this year at Colorado. I think that guy's going to be a nice role player coming out. I like it better than Luke Kennard, honestly, coming out of Duke. Kennard, to me, he just screams role player, bench player forever. Like, no chance in hell he'll ever start for you. I'm not sure why some teams are looking at him and want to potentially start him. To me, that's absolute lunacy. Forget about that. Bam Adebayo, to a certain extent, he lacks some sort of basketball IQ to me, but I definitely see the potential within him. I see him being a sleeper. I also look at Jordan Bell out of Oregon. I could see him coming in and having a nice role as a backup power forward in the NBA, providing some defense that some of these NBA teams really need. Kind of being like that Grizzlies power forward that actually started. I can't remember his name. What's his name?
Zach Randolph.
No, JaMychal Green actually.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of remind me of JaMychal Green. Also has some Zebo in him, but he can come in and provide some defense for a team. So I look at those guys as potential sleepers. One thing I see people in the chat talking about, Devin Booker, who's been at the center of some trade talks between the Knicks and the Suns. Apparently, the Knicks want to trade Kristaps Porzingis and their number 8 pick for Devin Booker and the Suns' number 4 pick. And I see some people talking about that. Look, I think Devin Booker, honestly, is one of the more overrated players in the NBA. And let me explain why. Now, I like Devin Booker coming out of college. I liked him better than most. He was a guy that was a bench player at Kentucky, but you saw a lot of things out of him. He came out in the draft. I remember he was 18. He wasn't going to turn 19 until October, right? So he was very young, and I saw a lot of potential within him. Shot over 40% from 3 in college, carry that over to the NBA. I remember back in the NBA his rookie year, after November, when he was barely playing, I was like, why is Devin Booker not playing? Because when he was in the game, he was playing really well. He was shooting threes. He was looking great. But here's the fact of the matter. Do not compare Devin Booker to Kobe Bryant. That is absolute sacrilege. There is more to being a shooting guard than just shooting. And Devin Booker does not know that. He does not rebound. He does not pass well. Does not play defense. People talk about Kobe Bryant being a big ball hog. Look at Devin Booker. When the ball gets in his hands, he ain't passing it. That's just the damn truth. His usage rates are way too high. His field goal percentage is not great. He doesn't get rebounds. He's not physical at the rim getting rebounds like Kobe Bryant was. No, by the way, Kobe Bryant made nine first-team NBA all-defensive teams. He was an elite shooting guard defender for years in the NBA. He was feared amongst shooting guards in the NBA. Devin Booker, people go up against Devin Booker and say, okay, good, I'm going to score 20 to 30 tonight because Devin Booker won't challenge me. He's a nice shooter. He's a voluminous shooter. And now you're going to see, by the way, D'Angelo Russell go to Brooklyn and put up Devin Booker numbers. Now he's going to be averaging 20 points per game for the Nets. But that doesn't mean that he's great. It means that he's good and he's getting a lot of usage, a lot of playing time, and he's really excelling in that role. You put Devin Booker on the Cavs, you put him on the Warriors around more talent, average maybe 14, 15 points per game. Is a decent player, but he's not Klay Thompson. He's not Bradley Beal to me. He's not CJ McCollum to me. He's a nice player. He can go off for 70. Okay, he can be that hot. He can also be very cold. His PER is below average in the NBA. His win shares is not good at all. He's not efficient enough as an NBA player. Does not rebound, does not assist, does not play defense.
Okay, with Devin Booker and Kobe, that's just a comparison made up by Suns fans, and it's actually funny, all right? I even say this comparison a ton because Devin Booker is a ball hog. That's the only reason why I ever compare the two. But with Kobe Bryant playing, yes, we all know Kobe Bryant is a relentless defender, and Devin Booker does not have that in him. And we're also seeing that a ton of people also want to compare Malik Monk to Kobe Bryant. It's just now after Kobe Bryant left the league, after he got old, even the past couple seasons, his defense was not that great, which is why a ton of people just forgot all about it. That is why you're just seeing him compared to high efficiently scores. Like if you can drop 40 points, you're Kobe Bryant now. That's just how it is now.
I'm seeing people saying that Dwight Howard got traded. Is this true? Apparently it is. The Charlotte Hornets have acquired Dwight Howard. Oh, no, Charlotte Hornets have acquired Dwight Howard. I'm looking up the details of this deal.
Did they really give up their
gut reaction is surprising to me. I felt that he was a decent player for the Atlanta Hawks this season. Wasn't great, nowhere near the Dwight Howard of old, but a player that did well for them, helped them make the playoffs. They went on a decent run in the middle of the season. Here's Adrian Wojnarowski on the deal. He is reporting that the Charlotte Hornets are sending Atlanta Miles Plumlee, Marco Bellinelli, and the 41st pick to Atlanta for Dwight Howard and the 31st pick. Okay, Now, whenever I look at these deals, because y'all never look at me look at them live, I like to look up stats first, okay? I don't want to go gut reaction because gut reaction can be a little misleading. But I'll tell you right now, I don't love this deal for the Atlanta Hawks. Dwight Howard, if I remember correctly, didn't he average about 15 and like 10 this year? And he was pretty integral to their team for most of this season. Gut reaction, I don't love this deal. What do you think?
Yeah, the Charlotte Hornets definitely want to steal. Now, the Charlotte Hornets looked solid at the beginning of the season until Tyler Zeller went out. I believe it's Cody Zeller. Yeah, right when Cody Zeller went out, they didn't have a solid rim protector. They tried putting in Roy Hibbert to do the work. He couldn't do it. They tried Frank Kaminsky. It didn't work. They need a solid big man, and Dwight Howard is able to offer that for them. And in return, they're also getting a higher draft pick, the first pick in the second round, and they're only giving up Miles Plumlee and Marco Bellinelli. The Charlotte Hornets easily won this deal. I mean, there's no even second thoughts for me. I can just look at it and already know that this deal actually helped Charlotte return into the playoff team that they once were.
Yeah, Dwight Howard averaged 13 and 13 this year, shooting 63% from the field. Now you pair him with Kemba Walker, and the Hornets should be back in the playoffs next season. They still have Marco Bellinelli. They need to replace MKG. I don't know why they never replace MKG. I know he's a good defender, but forget about MKG. Cody Zeller, get him out of here. Miles Plumlee, he's traded in this deal. Marco Bellinelli hasn't been great. For the Charlotte Hornets, Atlanta Hawks, I'm not sure what they're doing. Talk about a directionless franchise in Atlanta. What the hell are y'all doing? Are y'all trying to rebuild or not? Last year, it looked like y'all were going all in to make the playoffs. You did, and now you're saying, we want to trade Dwight Howard. What the hell are the Atlanta Hawks thinking?
Okay, with this trade, I also believe that Paul Millsap will not be returning. I mean, him and Dwight were close. I mean, there's no conflict with both of them. And actually, Dwight Howard was supposed to meet with Paul Millsap with the Atlanta Hawks to try and bring Paul Millsap back. I'm now looking at this, and I think he's gone for good. I don't think he'll be returning to Atlanta next year.
Yeah, people are saying it's a cat move. Cat move for who? Who is so eager to go to Atlanta? I don't see anyone eager to go to Atlanta. One person was, and it was Dwight Howard. It was Dwight Howard, who I believe is from Atlanta. That's the type of guy that would ever consider going to Atlanta. And now you just trade him to Charlotte. And Dwight Howard can't catch a damn break. And by the way, he is to blame for a lot of that. He could have still be a top player in the NBA, but he just has not improved his game at all. Never learned how to shoot outside. Never took his game to the next level ever since leaving Orlando. So he is a lot to blame to that. But hey, he led the Magic to an NBA Finals. So that he has that on his resume. But he damn near killed the Lakers. He damn near killed the Rockets, and the Hawks have now traded him. So Dwight Howard's career is now coming crashing down. Hopefully, he'll give the Hornets some good years. If he does, they should make the playoffs. I mean, not much more than that, but they should make the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so now you have Kemba Walker. You still have Nicholas Batum, MKG. They need to replace MKG. And by the way, I mean, this deal does not include the Hornets' first-round pick. So the Hornets still have their first-round pick. They're picking, I want to say, 11th in this draft. I don't love any of the small forwards there. I don't love Justin Jackson. I don't love Luke Kennard, who could play small forward. So I would love that. Maybe if they could, let's say for some reason, who could fall to them? Maybe Jonathan Isaac, but I don't love him at 3. How do you feel about Jonathan Isaac at the 3?
I was against this for a long time. Okay, I think you put him at the 3 if you do not have a solid point guard, and Charlotte Hornets clearly do. So the best fit for him is the power forward spot. I've already stated this multiple times. Whatever you do, do not put him at the 3. Yes, I understand he's lanky. Yes, you guys want to make him the next Kevin Durant, but he doesn't have that Kevin Durant to him. Like I'd place him at the 4 and try to develop him into a Kevin Garnett type player, and we will witness them fail to do that. They already
people talk about putting Isaac at the 3. I don't see it. He is pretty fluid, but he doesn't play like a 3 to me. In fact, I could see him playing some 5 eventually in the NBA if he puts on some damn weight.
Yeah, he's a shot blocker. I'd put him inside most of the time. I mean, he's also a solid pick and pop. Like, just put him at the 4 and let him utilize his talents. He's a solid spot up shooter. He's not great with the ball. I like his what's called finishes at the rim, but they're gonna try making him. They're gonna try transforming him into a ball handler, and you'll see that. You'll see that in his first couple years, which is why I have him as a potential bust.
But yeah, for the Atlanta Hawks, looks like they're absolutely tanking next year. They're gonna have Dennis Schroeder and no one else. Tim Hardaway, Kent Bazemore, now Marco Bellinelli. I don't know who the hell's gonna be in their front court. They still have their first round pick this year, but they're picking at like 20. So they're not gonna get a very good player there at all. Also, the Hawks are gonna stink, right? So now I put their roster right next to the Brooklyn Nets. In terms of stinkage next season, at least they should have their draft pick next year. I'm pretty sure that they do. So perhaps they're looking at adding a Michael Porter or a DeAndre Ayton or Mohamed Bamba next year because their roster now stinks. They're going to go from winning 43 games to winning 20 next season if their roster remains this way.
Yeah, like next year's draft is top 3 heavy. If you don't have a top 3 pick, you fail. That's just how I view it. So they better be tanking. I mean, if they don't tank, they try winning with a player like Dennis Schroeder at the helm. I don't see it working that much. And Hardaway, he's a solid player, but he's not going to be a player that gives you 20 points consistently. So yeah, they're definitely looking like a bottom 5 team. I wouldn't go to look like to the Brooklyn Nets yet. Their defense has been horrible. This entire season, they were horrible defensively. And I actually like Atlanta's defense. I think they're going to be able to hold teams still to around 100 points, 98 around there. So, I mean, I wouldn't compare them to the Brooklyn Nets just yet. But, yeah, they're definitely not making the playoffs. They're going to be a lottery team, picking in the top 10 most likely. But I don't see them tanking. I think this was just a move to try and get more scores and get more pieces and try dumping Dwight Howard's salary.
Yeah, but again, what exactly are they doubling their salary for? They're trying to go after like Rudy Gay or Danilo Gallinari in free agency. I'm not sure what the Hawks are planning, but I'm sure we'll figure out in the upcoming weeks. So with that said, let's move back to the actual NBA draft. That's just some NBA trades going on. I should just leave open Adrian Wojnarowski's Twitter just in case something else pops up. My God. So anyway, back to the NBA draft. We have about 10 minutes left because I want this to be an hour, not much longer than that. Let's just go through the draft and let's talk about what we think is going to happen, at least the top 10 picks. And I'm going to have my official final mock draft being posted tomorrow. Man, I'm so busy. I actually work tonight from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., so wish me luck. Let's start with the first pick, the Philadelphia 76ers. I have them taking Markelle Fultz. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer, honestly.
Number 2, Lakers. I have them now taking Lonzo Ball. I do truly believe they were strongly considering Josh Jackson a couple weeks ago, even last week, even a couple days ago. But he came in, did poorly during his second workout, while Lonzo Ball did great during his. They now want Lonzo Ball. They traded D'Angelo Russell. They're going to take Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, Paul George made things pretty clear for the Lakers' future. After he announced that he only wanted to play for the Lakers, they immediately switched back to Lonzo Ball. That's how I view it. They canceled all of the remaining pre-draft workouts they probably had planned, and now they're already set on taking Lonzo Ball with the second overall pick.
So number 3, Boston Celtics. Where do they go? Do they go Josh Jackson or Jason Tatum? I'm not sure which one I want to have in my final mock yet. Hopefully, I'm hoping for one solidified rumor to come out tomorrow to help me in my decision. But I'm going to say Josh Jackson because there was legitimate talk about him going potentially number 1 before the Celtics traded down. So I think that's who they're going after. Even though he did not work out with them, he doesn't want to go there. He thinks that their wing position is way too stacked. He doesn't want to add himself to that mix. But I think they will take him.
I think they'll take Jason Tatum with the 3rd overall picks. A ton of people are comparing him to Paul Pierce. And we know Danny Ainge, man. Danny Ainge is going to surprise a lot of people. Go with the fan base's need or want, whatever you guys want to call it. And with Josh Jackson, a lot of people are comparing this kid to Jaylen Brown, which I don't see at all. But he's probably seeing the exact same thing. So I think he goes with the safe pick in Jason Tatum, an offensive scorer who can come in and drop 20 points a game if they need him to. I think he's probably the most polished player coming out of this draft.
Yeah, personally, I don't see the Jaylen Brown comparisons either. Unless if you're saying that Josh Jackson is Jaylen Brown on steroids, right? Jaylen Brown was a complete raw prospect coming out. I thought he was never going to be any good. While Josh Jackson, I truly have faith in. Jaylen Brown shot 43% coming out of college, shot 29% from three. Josh Jackson, 51%, 38% from three. So I don't see those comparisons unless if you're saying Josh Jackson's better and we're going to sit Jaylen Brown on the bench forever if they potentially sign Gordon Hayward in free agency. Look at the fourth pick, Phoenix Suns. I have them taking Jason Tatum. I think either Tatum or Jackson. Just depends which one's available. What do you say?
Thing is, TJ Warren and Jason Tatum are actually comparable to me. I mean, TJ Warren averaged like 18.6 points per game after the All-Star break. I'm 100% sure they're not trying to add another scorer unless they move Eric Bledsoe. Because right now, man, Devin Booker's out here trying to drop 30 a game. You have Eric Bledsoe, who's a consistent 20 points a game player for them. TJ Warren averaged a ton. You have a potentially solid big man in Marquise Chris. I really think they're going to try and get Josh Jackson, even if it means trading up for him.
I look at now the fifth pick, the Sacramento Kings. Out of them taking Darren Fox, if he's available, I think they would take him. Maybe the Suns take him because they want to move on from Eric Bledsoe as soon as possible. But good luck to me because I'm not sure Darren Fox will ever be Eric Bledsoe. I'm not sure about that. I think he could, but I'm not sure about that. So I have Darren Fox going to the Kings. What do you say?
I agree. I think the Kings are going to go for the popular player instead of the best point guard available. And I also have them selecting De'Aaron Fox.
We move on to the sixth pick, Orlando Magic. It's so hard to find Magic rumors. No one covers this team. I go to their fan sites. They're dead. It's like the damn Westerns where you see the damn
Some rumors about that team.
through the scene. No one's there. It's complete empty on these Magic fan sites. I'm like, what the hell? No one cares about this damn team. What the hell? I have them going Dennis Smith. And I'm projecting my own love for Dennis Smith on them because I have to say, man, someone has to recognize that this guy's good. I mean, someone has to, right? Perhaps they'll go with Malik Monk, and I like Monk, but they have to go Dennis Smith. What do you think?
The three players that I found out that they're kind of interested in are Dennis Smith Jr., Malik Monk, and Zach Collins. Zach Collins might be the surprise of this draft. They might just – like everybody thinks Zach Collins is going to fall in after the 10th pick, potentially go to Charlotte, potentially go to Denver or Detroit. But I think he actually will go to Orlando. I don't think they'll notice Dennis Smith's like gift. I don't think they notice that his floor is Eric Bledsoe. And I also have them selecting this man, Zach Collins, because they need a big man who's consistent. Nikola Vucevic, he's solid, but Aaron Gordon isn't that player they wanted. They were also thinking about trading him for Darius Saric, but we all know the 76ers weren't going to do that. So I really think they're going to pick up Zach Collins.
And I just saw someone say in the chat, Dennis Smith is not a fit with the Magic. Look, who the hell is? Okay, the Magic are a complete rudderless franchise. They don't have a star. They don't have anything close to a star in their roster. They need to find one. I don't want to hear about, oh, this guy doesn't fit with the Magic. They need to get the best player. They don't have a player that you look at and you say, oh, yeah, that guy, they're building around that guy. No, they don't even have that player. They need to find that player. I don't care who the hell the fit is. If you need to fire Frank Vogel, do so. If you need to get a better player in, because their team is completely rudderless. I don't see any chance for the Magic to lead the lottery for the next 3 years. Okay, they need to find somebody now, and they need to take the best player available to me. Look at number 7. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I have them going Jonathan Isaac, and I feel like Isaac could be taken much higher than this. Like the Suns may be idiots, and they'll take Isaac and play him at the 3 with some horrible lineup of Dragan Bender, Jonathan Isaac, and the idiot they took last year, Marquise Chris. But Chris did okay last year, by the way. But, still, what kind of lineup is that? So we'll see. But I have Isaac going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think it's a great fit for them. He does not have the scorer's mentality. He's not very aggressive. But with them, he wouldn't have to be. I think that'd be a nice fit for him.
Now, with Jonathan Isaac to Minnesota, I agree he will be the pick, but I really believe that they will trade the 7th overall pick. Like I have like 95% sure that they will trade the pick for someone who's a proven player. I don't think they want to risk drafting another player like Chris Dunn, who, yes, has potential, but really didn't get to see the floor a lot with Ricky Rubio still there. I think they'll try and trade for a actually like a solid point guard like Eric Bledsoe. In my mock draft, I had them trading the 7th overall pick and Belisa for TJ Warren and Eric Bledsoe. That's just what I see happening. But Isaac will be the for sure pick if they stick with the 7th overall pick.
Yeah, I think they should look to trade it too. Apparently, they're in talks to potentially get Jimmy Butler. If they could trade the 7 and Zach LaVine for Jimmy Butler, they should do that deal. In fact, the Bulls should do that deal even. I think they should really do that deal. I think it'd be a win for both teams. That's what I would look to do if I were them. But if they keep this 7th pick again, I have them going Jonathan Isaac. Number 8, New York Knicks. If they stay here, because apparently they're looking at trading Kristaps Porzingis. And for once, I agree with Stephen A. Smith. Fire Phil Jackson immediately before he's able to do this deal, because this would be a terrible deal for the New York Knicks. But with the way I have this board going right now, they could be idiots. They're the New York Knicks. They could take Frank Ntilikina. They could take a random Donovan Mitchell, Luke Kennard. They could do something really stupid. But they have to go Malik Monk. They have to. They can't be that low. So I'm going Malik Monk.
I don't understand why they wouldn't go with Malik Monk, but I truly think he will take Frank Ntilikina. He had the success with, Kristaps Porzingis, who is an overseas player. So it wouldn't shock me to see him put out his neck for Frank. But I don't know why this man Malik Monk isn't higher on many teams' draft boards. Like, I really don't get it. Like, yeah, if this is how the draft plays out, I think Frank will be the pick, but hopefully they are able to land Dennis Smith Jr. because I do not want to see Kristaps Porzingis' career ruined by this man, Phil Jackson.
I actually have Malik Monk ranked 5th on my big board, and it's not necessarily because we'll leave this draft 5 years from now and we'll say that he's the 5th best player. It's just because I know for a fact Malik Monk will have a role in the NBA. Every single team can use a Malik Monk, a guy that even can come off the bench as a 6th man and just provide scoring, can shoot it really well, great shooter. That shooting will translate to the next level without a doubt. I see that role, especially with now Bradley Beal and CJ McCollum having the success that they're having in the league. Even Devin Booker, let's say Malik Monk goes to a random team like the Orlando Magic and he gets Devin Booker type usage, he could put up 20 points per game. I know Malik Monk is going to have a role. I can't say the same for some of these guys. Jason Tatum I really like as well, but he could end up being Jahlil Okafor, where he was able to really score in college, but for some reason it doesn't really translate. It's kind of you want to play him at the 3, but he could end up only being a 4. He ends up playing on the bench, and he ends up being Okafor. I could see that. Not in terms of play style, but just in terms of being pigeonholed into just being an offensive guy that is a tweener in terms of height and weight, and you just can't really find a role for him. Malik Monk, his role. Shooting guard, off the bench, or even starting for you, providing threes, providing scoring, providing that explosiveness at the rim and whatnot. So I like Monk. This would actually be a decent pick for the Knicks. I think he and Porzingis would be nice. If I were them, I'd get rid of Melo. I'd tank next year. I'd get one more draft pick again, and then I'd see what we can do in the future. We move on now to the 9th pick, Dallas Mavericks. What will they do? I have them taking Frank Ntilikina, point guard out of Strasbourg, also out of France, or I think even Belgium. But I have them going him. And Yogi Ferrell did decent for them last year, but from what I'm reading, they're not in love with him. They do like Ntilikina. They could go with Lauri Markkanen, but I think they go Ntilikina.
Yeah, I have Malik Monk going to the Dallas Mavericks, and that's just how I think they're going to be fortunate. I think the Knicks will also, like I said, be morons and then select Frank, and then he's going to be available at number 9. They're not going to be able to pass him up. Like, there's no way they're going to pick up Lauri Markkanen in this draft. But with Malik Monk, I like what you said. It's rare that you find a shooter just flame out of the NBA. There's J.J. Redick, C.J. McCollum, Eric Gordon. You have all these dudes, no matter what, they're always on a team impacting the games. Malik Monk is one of the safest picks in this draft, and you can't go wrong with selecting him.
Yeah, we move on now to number 10, and that is the Sacramento Kings. When the Kings first got this pick, I thought it was going to be better than it was, but as I ended up going into this draft, I'm not sure if they're going to get a very good player here. I see a huge drop off after the top 8 players in Fultz, Jackson, Ball, Tatum, Fox, Smith, Isaac, and Monk. But personally, I do have them getting a decent player here in Zach Collins. And I think Collins will be a starter for them. Last year, you drafted the disaster known as Georgios Papagiannis. Might end up being one of the worst draft picks in NBA history. I know he didn't play much last season. I don't care. He's trash. I knew that before last year's draft. He's one of those international players that are legitimately garbage. So I'm not expecting anything from him. Zach Collins could come in, start for you eventually, maybe after year one, maybe in the middle of year one. You'd have Zach Collins, you have Skal Labissiere. In my mock, you'd have De'Aaron Fox. If you're smart, you'd have Dennis Smith. Next year, you still won't be good, but get another draft pick next year. And then hopefully the year after that, you're good because you don't have a draft pick that year. But I think this would help the Kings rebuild.
Yeah, the Kings are in love with Zach Collins, but since I already have Zach Collins off the board, I'm going to go with Jonathan Isaac. Like, there's no way he's going to fall past 10. I don't see a team ever passing up a player with that much potential. So, yeah, I have him at number 10 to Sacramento.
All right, and that does it for the top 10. Now, some people have asked about thoughts on the Terrence Ferguson to the Heat. I actually have not watched enough Terrence Ferguson yet. I plan to do that tonight, at least before the draft. I have a couple more players to watch. I have 23 players scouted right now. I want to get to at least 30, 35 if I can, and Ferguson is one of the guys I have to get to. So what are your thoughts on Terrence Ferguson potentially going
All right. Terrence Ferguson came out of high school, decided to go overseas and play for the Adelaide 36ers, I believe. The thing about his tape is he shows that he can be a solid player, but he's raw. That's what you get once you go overseas to play for an international team. You should have just stayed in college, develop under a team like Arizona, who's known for developing these young guards and tossing them into the NBA, and they do okay. But for him, I like his three-point shot. He's athletic. His size is all right, but his defensive, his defense is not there. This is going to be a safe pick in case, this man, what's his name? Bro, I forgot, bro. You know who I'm talking about. The dude that went from the Cavaliers to the Heat. What am I?
I can't remember. Who are you talking about?
Talking about the shooting guard.
Dion Waiters?
Yeah, Dion Waiters, my bad. Dion Waiters. And if he ends up leaving, they have to pick up another guard. And I think him or Donovan Mitchell will be the pick.
Yeah, I think they're going to go shooting guard. I think Luke Kennard also possible there. Terrence Ferguson. Again, I haven't watched him, but I think that's a guy that could be in play. I have him going 20 right now to the Portland Trail Blazers. It's kind of tough to find where his stock is. I've seen him go as low as like 26 even, but I have him going around that range. Maybe they'll take him there. Is there any other viewer questions? Let's keep it NBA-based today. And then I'll have another live stream sometime soon. We'll talk whatever the hell we want to. Someone asked, what is the future for the Heat? Are they tanking or trying to win now? That's the question. Apparently, they're trying to win now. I mean, they had a chance, an opportunity this season to tank. They were terrible halfway through the season. Then they started winning games. So I think they're trying to win. Pat Riley, to me, though, really needs to come up with a solid plan. I really like Justice Winslow coming out of college. But the fact of the matter is he hasn't done anything. He hasn't shown anything. Has a terrible PER. Plays a decent amount of minutes this past year and just was not nearly efficient enough to warrant that kind of playing time. He was really detrimental to the team efficiency-wise this past season. So they need a new young piece to me. Winslow isn't that. And whoever they draft this year could be that. But I'm not seeing any of these role players that are going to end up being a star. Any of these guys drafted after the top 10, I just don't see that. Maybe someone does. We've seen Devin Booker. We've seen Miles Turner. They're not stars, but they're good players. We could see a player like that, but I just don't see it this year, except for maybe Henry Giles and maybe TJ Leaf. So we'll see what the Heat do, but it looks like they are trying to win right now, which I don't necessarily agree with. What do you think?
Yeah, they're definitely trying to win right now. Apparently, they're targeting a ton of free agents, are going to throw a ton of money their way. So, I mean, it's apparent that Pat Riley wants to win now and try to get a top 4 seed in the East. We'll see if that's even possible, especially with the Pacers now taking a backseat and the Raptors potentially losing Kyle Lowry. That might actually work. But in order for that to happen, they'd have to add a player like Danilo Gallinari, who I believe they targeted before what's called the All-Star break. And, a solid piece, like you said. Like one player I have to mention though that has a potential to become a star is OG Anunoby, the small forward out of Indiana. He might be the biggest sleeper in this draft. There's a lot of Kawhi Leonard to him. I'm gonna just put that out there, and he might be the upgrade over Justice Winslow that they currently need.
I have to leave for a quick moment because I have to dry my clothes. But while I'm doing that, feel free to answer this question. Who would be a better fit for the Suns, Josh Jackson or Jason Tatum? And I'll be right back.
Yep. All right, Josh Jackson easily. I'm telling you this right now. When you have these like Dragon Bender, yes, he's not solid defensively, but he has a 3-point shot. He can play outside if you need him to. You have Marquise Chris, who's going to be that inside guy that the Suns currently need. You have Eric Bledsoe, and hopefully you guys trade Eric Bledsoe for Dennis Smith Jr. That's my dream scenario for the Phoenix Suns. I really think that'd be a solid trade for them. And you have Devin Booker, like MJ and me already talked about, who is going to be a constant liability on defense. This guy is horrible on defense. You never want him on an island on his own, other than like Klay Thompson. A lot of people also want to compare him to Klay Thompson, but Klay Thompson he's a hot and cold shooter. This man, Devin Booker, is more consistent, but he's horrible defensively. So if I were the Phoenix Suns, I would do whatever it took to get Josh Jackson. And yeah, Andrew, I agree. He's just like TJ Warren.
Okay, I am back. Again, I agree. Josh Jackson, he should go there. Josh Jackson is the second player on my big board. Now you can actually have someone defensive on that team next to Devin Booker on the wing. Jason Tatum, again, I like, but I could see him end up flaming out. I don't know. I see Jason Tatum either being Paul Pierce or, Rudy Gay or being nothing. And that's what kind of concerns me when it comes to Jason Tatum. But I think I like Josh Jackson definitely more than Jason Tatum for the Phoenix Suns. Provide some defense for that team. Provide some upside for that team. You could have Josh Jackson, Devin Booker, Marquise Chris. I'm not sure what they feel about Dragan Bender. I mean, that's just – I still look back at that draft last year.
Yeah, it was
I mean, what are y'all planning? I just don't understand.
But for Tatum, I do agree. The thing about Tatum is I don't ever see him being a winner, man. I truly don't. Like you compared him to Rudy Gay. But when has Rudy Gay ever won anything? The second the Memphis Grizzlies got rid of him, they became a Western Conference Finals team. See him ever bringing that team a title?
Hello, I'm Drew asked, did they ever talk about the Dwight Howard trade? Yeah, we did, but I'll rehash it just for 1 second. Terrible deal by the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, they're going to take next year. That's what this deal is telling me. Dwight Howard's not great, but he averaged 13 and 13 this year for a center, man. That's pretty freaking good. Now you're going to have him, Kemba Walker, Nicholas Batum, Marvin Williams in Charlotte, and they're going to make the playoffs this year. While the Hawks are going to be out because now Paul Millsap's gone. Dennis Schroeder's still there, but now you have Schroeder, Tim Hardaway, Marco Bellinelli, Miles Plumlee, and a bunch of clowns, honestly, other than those guys. Good luck winning anything this season. So with that said, I think that's pretty much going to do it, unless if there's some last-minute questions. Oh, Abdi Hearns asked, why don't you post more 2K gameplay or FIFA gameplay? Now, I'm not blasting you, but y'all are so funny, okay? You know how much content I post on a weekly basis? And still, I get asked, when are you going to make this? When are you going to make that? You want more Titans videos? You want more NFL videos? You want some more Madden? Want some more FIFA? Want some more 2K? Madden, FIFA, Madden, Titans. I can't do everything, man. I'm doing the best I can. Y'all can see how much content I'm putting out. But there's only so much I can do. Give me a tiny break. Last question I'm going to answer today. Should the Cavs trade Kyrie? Hell no to me. You trade Kyrie Irving, okay, let's say you trade him to the Indiana Pacers for some reason for Paul George. You're going to watch Kyrie Irving average 27 or 28 points per game, be an absolute stud, solidify himself as a top 5, maybe even top 3 point guard in the NBA, and your team will be screwed once LeBron James leaves. You'll be absolutely, totally screwed. You'll be
Yeah, but
100% screwed.
Kyrie said the second LeBron leaves, he's out as well. So, I mean, Dan Gilbert is probably going to try acting fast as soon as the next season ends because LeBron James is telling. We already know it's inevitable. There's no way he's going to find a way out of this, especially since he fired David Griffin without LeBron's consent. It's looking very, very like it's bad for the city of Cleveland in their future. I really don't see how they'll thrive.
And if I'm Dan Gilbert, I'm not trying to go all in for LeBron this year, okay? I'm thinking about our future, our team's future. That's what the hell I'm thinking about. I need to start thinking about life after LeBron because when LeBron left Miami, they got screwed over for the most part. They're lucky they got Hassan Whiteside. They picked him up, right? No one wanted him to end up being a nice player for them. But other than that, it'd be terrible, okay, without that guy. So if I'm Dan Gilbert, I'm keeping my team's best interest at heart. I'm keeping my best interest at heart. Screw LeBron. Let's plan for life after LeBron James. So there you go. That is my 2017 NBA draft preview with Slump. If you're not subscribed to Slump already, check out his channel. The link is in the description box below. He makes NFL and NBA videos as well. And I will be live for the 2017 NBA draft this Thursday for the first round at least. And then after that, I'm going to have to go to work. But I will be live for the first round. It's going to be a lot of fun. We did the NFL draft. That was fun. The NBA draft, I'm sure, will be just as fun. Anything else you want to say, Slump?
Follow me on Twitter at SlumpTV, and that's about it.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.